fellow lover of all things wedding related, and welcome to the Wedding Wisdom Podcast with your hosts, Tonya Hoops and Morgan Powell.
Hey everybody, we are so excited to be back with another episode of the Wedding Wisdom Podcast. Today, we are going to talk a little bit about photography and some things that you should probably ask your photographer, best practices, best questions to ask your photographer to make sure that you get those memories captured the way that you have always envisioned. So, how are you doing, Tonya?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good.
So we're lucky because we have a photographer sitting with us that we can ask these questions to. So, Morgan, what is the very first thing you should probably ask your photographer?
This might sound silly, but I think the first question you ask is, are you available for my wedding date?
Yeah, that's kind of important because if you go down this whole road and you fall in love with a photographer, let's say you've already booked your venue, you probably can't hire the photographer. They're not available.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times I get inquiries, and I don't always ask the question because I care more about your story, and I'd rather hear how you guys met and how you got engaged and all of your plans and all that stuff. And so sometimes I even forget to ask what your wedding date is. But I think the first thing to avoid any and all headaches is, are you available for my wedding date?
Yep. And if the inquiry form, for some reason, some people have that on their inquiry form, right? And so It says, what is your wedding date? And if you're not sure, it's all right to say you're not sure. But then if you have a call with them and you know what your date is by then, or you know what date potentials are, you should let them know because, again, it's your time that's valuable and the photographer's time that's valuable. And so you want to make sure that you can align just from the very beginning on the date.
Yes. So one of the things that I do love with that "are you available" question, a lot of times, at least I know that I have a network of photographers that shoot either similarly to me, or if our styles don't align and you got me as a referral from another vendor or something like that, I can point you in the right direction of a photographer that will meet your needs.
Yep.
So it's not always a bad thing to continue a conversation, even if the photographer is not available for your wedding.
Yep.
Second question I think you ask is to ask the photographer to explain in their words how they like to work. What's their style? How do they like to shoot? Everybody can curate a beautiful image gallery on Pinterest or Instagram or any other social media, your website, all of those things. But hearing how they like to work, I get a lot of couples that will say that they're really uncomfortable in front of a camera. As much as we have cameras in our faces, like 24/7, they're on our phones. We're constantly taking snapshots and videos and stuff like that. Most people are not in front of a professional camera with somebody else taking their pictures.
Right.
And such important pictures too. These are photos that you're going to just hopefully love and are going to be passed down and have stories attached to them to your kids, grandkids, of when mom and dad, grandma and grandpa got married.
Yep.
So there's a lot writing on these photos, and you want somebody that feels comfortable. So if I were to say, you know what, I really just let you guys do your own thing and I don't really pose you, and that doesn't work for you, that's okay. Like, it's okay to be a mismatch on that, or to say, I need more direction. I will talk often, I think we've had this conversation before, but engagement photos are so important.
Yeah.
And the reason engagement photos are so important is because we get to learn each other. So as a photographer, I get to learn you as a couple, how you guys fit together, how you interact together. As crazy as this sounds, everybody hugs differently.
Oh, no, it doesn't sound crazy because I've seen it happen at weddings, right? Where the hug looks different, the kiss looks different. It's their own, it's the way that works for them as a couple.
It's the way that their bodies interact with each other. And so doing an engagement session gives me a feel for that. It also gives the couple an opportunity to learn my directions and my cues and how they look in behind my camera. I was talking to somebody and we were laughing about this actually, because I go, most of my couples, by the time we get to the wedding day, I give them little to no direction.
Because they know.
Because they know. Because I put them where I want them, and then I'll start to say it, and they are already there because we've done the engagement session and we've had that time to learn each other. So that is a side note. If you're considering an engagement session or some kind of pre-wedding session, 100% book it, do it, say yes to it, because that is a huge deal.
And sometimes you can't because it's a destination wedding and maybe you're not going to be at the destination or maybe not at a time that aligns for an engagement with the photographer. And what I suggest at that point as a planner is the planner by that point usually knows your personality pretty well and they can kind of talk to the photographer about that. So trusting your planner on that as well is an important part. Now,
100%.
That doesn't take away from an engagement session. It's, it's not the same thing. But at that point, have your planner give some information to the photographer, which they should do, because that will help with the situation as well.
Yeah. One don't that I would suggest is don't go. They're going to kill me probably for saying this. Don't go to the wedding wire and the knot and print off the 20 questions you should ask your photographer.
No, because you know what? They know the answers to those questions. Those questions are out there, right? I think you should ask very specific to you wedding questions. And that might mean, let's say someone that you love nature and you want to have your photos done on the top of a mountain. You might want to ask your photographer if they like to hike, if they're willing to hike, how much camera equipment they're willing to take in on a hike. I mean, those kind of things are really important.
They are. So I think that's one of the things is talking about between you and your fiance, what is important. I think one of the things I usually ask couples is what is most important to you from your photography on your wedding day? And the number of couples that kind of look like a deer in the headlights of like, oh, I never thought about it. I just know we need pictures is huge. And so I think if you can have a really clear vision, it will help inform the questions that you ask. Things like, how adventurous are you? We're a really adventurous couple and we would love to jump in the ocean at the end of the night in our full wedding attire. Is that something that you're able to do? I think of a photographer that's local here to Utah that skis. And one of the coolest things that she does is she gets a lot of couples that love to ski and she will ski down the mountain with them. And they are beautiful images. I am not that photographer. And that is okay. You want to do a 10-miler and hike into some crazy waterfall in Hawaii, like I'm your girl. I will do that. There are others who won't. So I think knowing who you are and what's important to you in terms of your portraits is really important. Go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So one thing that I hear a lot as a planner, and I know the answer, but I want to ask you, let's see if the answer is what I think it's going to be. But a lot of people say, I just want candid photos, which is great. But what does that really mean? So when someone says that to you, I want candids, what is your next step? What is the questions you ask or what do you take from that?
Oh, that's a great question because that is very, very trending right now. I think a little bit of back on that, my thoughts on why we're there is because we live in such a curated world. Yeah. And so everything feels really curated and formal and forced. And you want to enjoy your wedding day. I think that question really comes from people that are wanting to enjoy their wedding day. They don't want to be in front of the camera all day long. Right. So I approach it two different ways. First of all, I tell couples, at least for me, the majority of your day, so let's say we have an 8-hour wedding day, which is pretty standard for me. 8 to 10 hours is pretty standard. So on an 8-hour wedding day, you will spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours tops in formal portraiture mode. That includes your portraits. That includes any wedding party portraits, family portraits. If you want like the getting ready portraits where you guys are all in your robes or that kind of stuff. In 8 hours, about max 2 hours is what is considered posed portraiture.
And while that might seem like a lot of time to people, what usually that workaround is that that's usually before the ceremony, right? Or right after during the cocktail hour. And I do hear a lot of my clients say, I don't want photos after the ceremony. I want to be in the cocktail hour. And that's fine. We just then have to do all those poses before. Or maybe there's a few during dancing where it's like, hey, I've had this happen a lot where it's like my all my college friends are here and I want a college friend portrait with our like flag or mascot or whatever with inside the portrait. And so that's considered a portrait, correct?
So I call those snapshots.
Okay.
So to me, portraiture is hyperposed. So it's you, your mom, your dad. I'm looking at where hand placement is. I'm looking at where hairs are. I'm making sure that they look beautiful so that when you get them back, it's something that you feel confident in hanging on the wall.
That's fair.
Now, that picture of you with all of your college friends, you might print that out and put it on a side table or a nightstand or something like that. So it could still be printed, but it feels more in the moment.
It's not a portrait where you've got everyone posed in a certain position and making sure the hands are all correct, like you said.
It's mostly, can I see everybody's eyes? Everybody's like not making a funny face. And that's the extent of that. When talking about candids, though, I think what people want is they want to feel their wedding.
Yeah, I agree.
That's really what it is you want to feel what it was to walk down the aisle, what it was to kiss for the first time. So all of that kind of stuff is all candid. I don't stop a ceremony because your dress is not fluffed perfectly.
Oh, thank goodness, because you'd be in very big trouble with me if you stopped a ceremony for that reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So like there are things where it's like it's out of my control. There's nothing that's going to happen if you say you do the first kiss and your spouse dips you and I see the top of your head, I'm going to do everything in my power to move to get a different angle.
Right.
But I can only work with what I can work with. Yep. And that's candid.
But that's the beautiful moments, right? Because maybe you have that picture in there. Maybe you dipped and got that photo, right? But you also have that photo that they can see that like, hey, this was a spontaneous moment and he dipped and I did not get that photo. I got the top of your head.
I will tell you probably the one place where I see that more than anything is in the first dance.
Oh, that's fair.
And I will follow that couple around and without fail, before the dance ends, they turn their backs to me.
Yep.
Every single time. So I think that's something else to think about, like as a side note of if you are doing any dancing, where are you in relation to like where the photographer or the media team is? But I do like, for as far as portraiture goes, couples portraiture for me, I like to describe it as candidly posed. So what that means, and this is the second part. So yeah, you're really only in portraiture for about 2 hours, but about 45 minutes to an hour of that is what I call candidly posed. And what that is I put you in beautiful light. I get you 90% of the way there, where it's you look good, you have your arms around each other, whatever that pose looks like. And then I ask you to do something, whether that's walk, kiss. Sometimes it's just take a deep breath and exhale.
Sometimes we need that.
Sometimes you need that. And so those are the moments, or give Eskimo kisses or butterfly kisses, or, I mean, we can get kind of crazy sometimes too. And, whisper your laundry list.
I've never seen you do that ever.
Never.
Crazy in a photo shoot.
Crazy at a photo shoot. Never happens. But sometimes we ask for some outrageous things, whisper your grocery list in the most sexy voice you can, to elicit those responses and those actions. And then when you have those actions, that's when we click the frame. So it's not when you're standing there. I think most couples, like I said, when they're asking for candid photos, they're nervous about looking stiff and uncomfortable in their wedding photos, which is reasonable considering you're usually not in front of a professional camera.
Right. A lot of the time. And the thing is, when you think about, I'm even thinking about what you're saying with the cell phone. When you go back and look at photos on your cell phone, at least for me, a lot of times it will elicit an emotion, right? So I'm looking at a photo of my children and I'm like, oh, you know what? I remember doing that with them, whether it's like their first time at Disney or, their first time going to school, right? It elicits those emotions in you. And I think that's what you're saying is that those moments all elicit emotions, and that's really what candids are about.
Yeah. I think, so thinking about candids, it's well within your right and I think appropriate to ask for a full gallery.
You mean when you're interviewing
someone?
When
interviewing someone.
Yes.
Now, my caveat to that is that I just photographed a wedding. I had 2 photographers. We had 4 cameras. I came home, I had 6,000 images. We narrowed that down to roughly 2,500 images.
It's a lot of images.
It's a ton of images, most of which will mean nothing to you as somebody who hasn't experienced that event.
Right.
A curated portfolio of a gallery, so you should see every single part of the gallery. You should be able to see family portraits. You should see reception pictures, like not just the special events at the reception, but actual reception footage, getting ready pictures. Even a curated gallery of 100 to 200 images gives you a really good idea of what your full gallery will look like.
Yep. Okay, so I have a really reality check question for you.
Yes.
So just like an Instagram, right? So we know, let's be real here. We all know we can now use AI
Yes.
to generate any photo that we want. We can actually use AI to change photos, right?
Yes.
We can use AI to do a lot of things. AI is a real thing and it really exists. I
Yes,
am
it
seeing
does.
photos that I'm like, there's no way as a planner that wedding is actually real. Right. I think we've all seen them. Like these photos where people think about this. They're on a private airplane. They're standing straight up. All their guests are standing straight up, so they're like lined 5 deep. Here's your bride and groom, bridesmaids and groomsmen going out, lined up. Can you stand straight up on an airplane lined 5 to the side? No, you can't. Right. And so let's think about that. Someone is either, yes, maybe they got married on a plane, but they've AI generated the rest of that photo, or they've AI generated it to create a wow moment, which is fine, right? Because that's what you talked about at the beginning. All those curated photos are about that. Okay, so with all that being said and done, because I wanted to explain why I'm getting to this point is, okay, you ask a photographer for a gallery.
Yes.
Should we maybe ask them for several galleries and also see if the work looks consistent throughout? What are some of those ways that you can say, you know what, this person's Instagram looks fabulous. Their portfolios they're sending me look fabulous. But something maybe isn't feeling right or is feeling off. Or maybe you're reading reviews and the reviews aren't matching what you're seeing.
So first, I will say, trust your gut. If something feels off, that's okay. And it's okay to move on. It's okay to be like, I don't know why. And I say that because your photographer spends more time with you on your wedding day than your spouse does.
It's true.
So I tell all of the couples that inquire with me, we should feel like best friends. Yeah. If you would not want to not hire me, if you would not want to invite me to your wedding because you're like, oh yeah, we would have a ball and we would have so much fun, you should not be hiring me to photograph your wedding because it adds a level of stress that you don't need on a wedding day.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Secondly, yes, ask for multiple galleries and be specific. If you are getting married at like a hotel ballroom, ask for galleries that were photographed in a hotel ballroom. Yep. If you know you're getting married in the mountains in the middle of winter, ask for what does that look like? Do you have any galleries that are similar to that? And maybe they don't have any galleries that are like snowy, but they have galleries that are in the mountains, or they have other types of sessions that are in the snow. So maybe they do family portraiture and you can see what that looks like.
I think that's a really good point because you can't expect your photographer to have done every hotel ballroom, every single area, right? I mean, you can't expect a planner to do that either. We'll get a call about a new area and it's like, we're excited about it, right? Yeah. And we haven't done it, but do we know how to execute it? Absolutely. Right. But the question is, do they know how to execute it? Do they know how to take those outdoor photos? Do they know how to do a ballroom photo? The lighting is very different from the two.
It is.
The time of day can be very different outside. And do they know how to work with that? So
if you're getting married in the winter, do they have any winter galleries?
Yeah.
Like across the board, because winter in the Southern Hemisphere is very different than winter in the Northern Hemisphere. It's different in Southern California than it is in Tahoe, California. Correct. So knowing where you're getting married and asking if they have any galleries that are consistent with that. And then, like I said, being open to they might have some other types of galleries that would be good and representative of their work.
Yep. This is such great information. I think photography could be talked about for hours and hours. And the reason I
really
say
could.
that is that here's the thing. People are going to remember to a point the experiences for sure that you did at your wedding. They might remember the food. If you've got an experience in the food, they're probably going to remember that. But your posterity, your grandkids, great grandkids, if you choose to have them, your nieces and nephews, whoever, are going to see those photos forever.
Yeah.
And so the one thing you don't want is those photos to be like, oh, what was wrong with, Aunt Jane that day?
Right.
Because she was getting married. She should look happy, and she doesn't in the photos, or it just doesn't look like they're posed correctly, whatever, those situations. So I think we're going to have to do a couple follow-ups to this conversation.
I think we probably will. But as a recap, because I know this was probably a lot of information, ask, the very first thing, ask if they're available for your date. Yeah. Ask for galleries that are representative of your wedding or what your vision for your wedding is. A little bit of homework for you is to think about what you want from your pictures. Do you want some posed portraits? Do you want strictly candids? What do you want from your photos? And really have that conversation and be honest about that conversation. And then finally, ask about their style. What does editing look like? What do turnaround times look like? About how many images are there? As a side to that, how many images, so that the typical wedding album holds about 80 to 100 images is it. So really anything more than that is kind of gravy. Not that you should only get 80 pictures from your wedding day.
Right.
But just to put that in perspective, you're not going to print 1,000 images, even if that is what you end up with.
Right. So this is such great information. And I hope that someone can, take the pieces that are applicable to them out of this conversation, which there's a lot of applicability here. So anyway, I hope that you have happy wedding planning and this helps you book your photographer. You can always book Morgan. She's great. She does travel. But anyway, have a great day. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Wisdom Podcast with your hosts, Tonya Hoops and Morgan Powell. To keep up to date with the latest episodes, like, subscribe, and follow at Wedding Wisdom Blog on all social media platforms. To submit content, please email weddingwisdomblog@gmail.com.